Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is rhianaB, and I have taken a bit of a break since my last upload onto my main channel. There is a reason for that, and part of the reason is what I'm going to be covering in today's video. So this may be long. I have a lot to talk about. So bear with this video. I'm going to be giving a lot of information and things that I went through, my own personal experiences. I will also leave other types of material down in the description below that has other details regarding what I'm about to talk about. So please check out their videos as well. But for now, let me tell you the story of my trip to New York City and the disaster that was the New York Shadowcon. Okay, so to kind of get this started off, originally back in 2019, I believe, actually around the time that the last half of Shadowhunters, their last half of a season, let's put it that way, it had been announced that there was going to be the first ever North American Shadowhunter convention. And obviously, those of us who are from North America, and that mostly includes the United States plus Canada, all of us were extremely excited because at that point, there hadn't been obviously any other conventions dedicated to the show Shadowhunters that were near our area. A lot of them were happening in Europe. Some were happening in Asia. I think even some happened in Australia. Basically everywhere else except for like the most western half of the world. Which seems odd because not only was the show an American TV show and it was on an American platform, it was also filmed in Canada. So it seemed odd how we had never had a convention for this show back when it was originally popular and once the show had both been canceled and had completed its airing on live television. So we were extremely ecstatic. I know I was, and immediately when tickets went up, I bought a ticket to the convention. I started prepping for a flight to New York City because that's where it was going to be held. Started just planning this to be a big trip for myself because I also had planned for this to be my first ever solo trip because I had never, at that point, had ever flown without my parents or family with me. I had never flown by myself. So I wanted this to be a test. Could I plan my own trip and could I actually pull off traveling on my own? Which seems a little ridiculous when you're talking about God, how old was I? I was like 24 at the time. That seems like maybe a little like maybe late. But obviously now that I'm talking about this now and I'm currently 27 going on 28, didn't really bother that much. But anyway, so basically, this was set to originally premiere in April of 2020. Obviously, though, due to COVID-19, the convention had to be pushed, and most of us understood the reasoning why. So at that time, the convention had been pushed to September of that same year, and obviously COVID had not subsided at that point, so it got pushed yet again, and according to this really pretty detailed set of notes that I had collected over the years for the convention, it had moved from September of 2020 to May of 2021, and then April of 2022, and then finally August of 2022, which obviously is this month. All of these postponements, 2 years, almost 3 years of waiting for this convention to happen, it seemed like we were finally going to have our moment to celebrate this show, to celebrate with the cast and the crew and fellow fans of Shadowhunters. And then early in 2022, things were already starting to appear to be a big red flag. First off was that Jalmix, who is the company that was running this convention, had basically sent out emails saying that we needed to pay for any final installments or any other types of payments that we had not paid yet by a certain date. I believe it was sometime in January. The thing was I think most of us had probably missed it, and they had not repercussioned anybody on this. It seemed like they were extremely behind on their emails. They weren't reaching out to as many people as they used to do, which already seemed very alarming with the convention slowly coming upon us. I myself personally didn't really think about that too much. I just thought maybe they're doing a lot of prep work for the convention. It's coming up very soon. They'll need to get things situated and all that stuff. So I honestly didn't think anything of it at the time. And then I believe about a month, maybe even 2 months before the convention was set to happen, there was supposed to be a concert that was supposed to happen during the convention time, and they had let us know that that concert had been canceled and that people were going to be getting refunds for their tickets. And even then, I'm like, okay, that seems odd, but it's nothing to get all upset about. Maybe they couldn't get the acts to actually show up because it had been too long of delays. They were probably doing their own thing because for these people, their job comes first, and a convention isn't their biggest priority, no matter how much they would like to go. So I didn't think about it too much. I thought, okay, well, that sucks, but obviously we still have a convention. I have a lot more to look forward to. And now, welcome in to August, and this is where things start to get really, really messy. First off, I had actually bought 2 extra days of time in New York due to Jalmix, who had offered some discounted room prices for 2 extra days in New York to make up for all the postponement. And I thought that was great. This would give me time to actually explore New York City because I have never been to New York before. I thought this was great. I would actually have time to explore this beautiful city and then also celebrate the convention with fellow fans. So I end up taking a flight on Tuesday, and being that I am traveling from Los Angeles, California, all the way to New York City, specifically LaGuardia, that is a 3,000-mile flight. That's a long travel time, and even with connecting flights, it just makes it all the more longer. Now, what was already starting off bad was that I was starting to not feel very well. I started having a sore throat. I was also having a major headache, but I thought that was just because I was very tired because I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning that day and I couldn't fall back asleep. So I was, last minute packing early in the morning, and I had to take a lift to the LAX airport, which was pretty, not too lengthy like I had thought, but it's still a long drive from where I live here in California. And got to the airport, traveled, one of my flights was delayed, so I ended up getting to New York, I want to say somewhere around 9:30. And obviously that does not include that I had to go from LaGuardia to Manhattan, which is already a pretty big distance away, so I was extremely exhausted. I had gotten to the Marriott Marquis, which was the hotel that not only I was staying at, but it was also going to be the place of the convention. I got there, apparently no problems. I already told them that, hey, I had paid for these hotel rooms about a year or 2 years ago. I should be set. I have proof in my bag. Showed them the list, and nothing was wrong. I put in a deposit on my credit card, and I moved into my room for the night because I had also booked extra hotel fare, obviously, because I'm staying for 2 extra days. And for the one night, I was staying by myself in a solo room, and then the next day I would need to move to a shared room with 3 other Shadowhunter attendees. So basically that had all happened. I was extremely tired. I finally got to bed, woke up the next day, I got changed, I got checked out of my other room, I got checked into my shared room, and then basically the rest of the day I just explored New York. I went to the MoMA, I walked around Times Square for a little bit, trying to take in the city, had some cool food, and everything was seemingly going well. I had met one of my roommates by the time I had gotten back, and everything seemed cool. We were excited about, getting prepped for the convention. We were talking about the show and just getting to know each other, and that all seemed good at the time. And then the next day happened. So this is Thursday, and Thursday was meant to be dedicated to registration for the convention. So we were probably gonna have to show up in the hotel lobby or do something in a regard to get registered to go to the convention the following day on Friday. Thing is, there was a bit of a halt in that plan. I wake up around 7 in the morning because I'm still on LA time, which is about a 3-hour time zone difference. So I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing I usually do is I check my emails, I check my socials, I check YouTube, I do all that before I actually get out of bed. One thing I noticed was when I went onto Twitter. I immediately looked at Jalmix because one of their tweets was on top of my feed for that day, and they were saying that there was some sort of dispute with the hotel, and that because of that dispute that they had been in talks with for about 24 hours by the point of that tweet, that they are suspecting that they would not have the convention at the hotel. So with the convention happening within 24 hours of this tweet happening, basically they're saying that there's a good chance that this convention will not happen. Now at that point, I was very confused. I didn't really know how to feel. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be angry at the situation or at the hotel or the company. I didn't know if I should be really upset because now they're saying that this convention that we had been waiting for around 2 to 3 years, it might not be happening. And I was telling this to my roommate who I felt more upset for her because she did not actually have Twitter. So the people that did not have Twitter were having to find this out through people who did have Twitter, because also the emails that were from the company were not coming out at a reasonably fast pace. I actually didn't end up getting an email from the company in regards to this until an hour after their tweet had come out around 7:30 in the morning. Not only that, but that email was an absolute joke. Literally, that email was a carbon copy paste of what they had posted on Twitter so far that day. That's all the email was. So we know for a fact that these were literally just being handled by whoever was handling their socials, were handling the emails and the socials with the same exact sayings. And that to me was, I just could not believe that it seemed like they were not trying to talk to people individually. It seemed like they were just trying to get a message out to as many people as they could, because Twitter is obviously the biggest platform and it's the most easier to get information out of, but it almost felt like an easy way out for them. I think I could automatically tell, even in my gut instinct, that they were trying to cover up their own ass. Something was seriously wrong and they were not being transparent about it. So the rest of the day kind of happened. I mean, I was trying to go through my day as chill as I could be. I was still trying to have fun. I ended up going to the Color Factory. I went to get some New York pizza. I was trying to have fun that day. I was trying my best to have some semblance of fun that day, given what we had heard in the morning. And then 5 o'clock comes around. At that point, they had said they were going to have an official announcement on the regards of the convention around 5 o'clock. And 5 o'clock showed up. Lo and behold, Jalmix International canceled the Heroes of the Shadowcon convention in New York City. And obviously, all of us were extremely, extremely sad, upset. Some of us were angry. A lot of us now did not know what to do. We were stuck in New York, and some of us didn't even have room and board. I was lucky enough to be within a bracket set by the company to the hotel. It was around $12,000. If you checked into your hotel and you were within that bracket of money, you were fine. That your room would be covered, you would still pay the rate that you had paid however long ago. However, if you didn't check in, then there would be a good chance that you couldn't stay at that hotel unless you were willing to pay their regular rates, which were like $350 per person for one night stay. Because this is a big fancy hotel. And there were some people that just could not do that. They had expected for this to be paid for instead of having them to pay out of their pocket. So there were a lot of people who were trying to figure out where to even stay. And this is one thing I love about the Shadow Fam, which is our fandom for the show. There were people on Twitter who were trying to help people find room and board, either being at a hotel that was a little bit cheaper, an Airbnb. You know, there were people really trying to help each other out because this literally happened within like 12 hours. And people were scrambling. We didn't know what to do. The front desk at the hotel did not fully understand the situation we were in because apparently no one on the higher up at the hotel was telling their front staff what was going on. So they were just as clueless as we were. Nobody was giving any valid information as to what was happening. The only information that was coming out was the extremely vague information from Jalmix and people on Twitter who were either in New York or not in New York, who were part of the fandom, who were saying that this was a company that did not have its finances put together and that this probably was bound to happen at some point. So by the time 9 o'clock that night had rolled around, all of this had just kind of ended up happening. And I was talking to my mother because obviously I was extremely overwhelmed. I was upset. I was angry. You know, all of this was happening in a very reasonably fast pace and no information was out. I was freaking out and my mom was trying to help me go through all the things that I bought through the company, trying to keep some paper records as to what I needed refunds of and all of that. And my mother was also asking me questions that I just could not answer and the front people at the desk could not answer. And that was what was the most frustrating. None of us knew it was happening. No information had come out. So a lot of us were just running around with like chickens with our heads cut off. And it was an absolute mess. And it's truly a shame on the company for allowing this to happen and for letting people just kind of just have to be in limbo. Not many of us knew what to do. We didn't know if we needed to get lawyers involved to sue or to file a lawsuit with the company. We didn't know if we needed to actually respond to Jalmix through email because their emails were extremely slow or they were not even getting to people. There were some people I knew that didn't get any emails from the company at all during this. And I eventually just broke down crying. I was talking to my mother and I started to cry and I immediately ran up to my hotel room and all of the emotion of that day just hit me out of nowhere after compressing it for most of that day. And finally, it dawned on me and all of us that this was not happening. There's no way to salvage this. We basically had been led astray. We had been left to be, in a way, stranded in New York City. And a lot of us did not even know if we were going to be getting any semblance of our money back for a canceled convention that was canceled 24 hours before it was set to start. And as of recording this video, it's actually currently almost Sunday morning. But if you want to get some more details of more of the legality and the business side of what went wrong with this company and with this convention, I will leave some links down in the description below by a fellow YouTuber who actually is not a part of the Shadow fam, but he actually had people he knew in New York during this time, and he actually was able to get some information from the company and to be able to work through the legality of this, because these are things that I personally do not fully understand, nor do I have any more information because, like I said, Jalmix International have been very, very bad about being transparent about what went wrong with this convention. They're trying to basically cover their own ass. They don't want their business to flop after this, but honestly, basically, the real culprit in all of this is not the hotel, not the fans, not those who were meant to attend this convention like the cast and the crew and the moderators. This is all on Jalmix International. Jalmix, you fucked up and you manipulated us, you misled us for whatever reason, and now you are holding out on money that we rightfully owe back because of your mistakes. I would like to think that you knew that you were strapped for cash leading up to this actual date that was meant to be the actual Shadowcon in New York City. You, as a whole, or someone within the company, messed up big time. And because of that, you have pretty much ruined your reputation with us as a fandom, and we are a super dedicated fandom, so we will make sure that nobody else goes through your company ever again. This was completely wrong. You were in the wrong, and you are the one who needs to pay up for your actions, give us all refunds, issue a transparent, detailed apology as to why this happened. You need to be as honest with us as possible, and right now, you are not doing so. People are still not receiving your emails. You are not answering to anybody on your socials. You are trying to save your ass. And honestly, after this, it'll be a miracle if this company ever functions anything together again. You do not blame the hotel, you do not blame the fans, you do not blame the cast or the crew, including some people that were actually disinvited to the convention due to your lack of financial handling. This whole situation could have been avoided, and yes, we would have been sad, and yes, you would have owed up money because you had to cancel a convention. But you know what? You probably would have left with your dignity and your reputation intact, which now, arguably, is now permanently impossible to fix. So obviously, I have a lot of strong emotions about all of this happening, and it sucks that it happened. But I have to admit that there were some major highlights from the weekend. First, one of the things I really noticed was how much us as a fandom who were there in person, how much we bonded over all of this bullshit that happened. For the first time, I was actually meeting in person actual fans of this TV show and this story that I have loved for a number of years now. And to see all of these people, from young and old, man, woman, from different parts of the world, and we all started watching the show at different times. It was really fascinating to see where everyone started their love for this show and for these characters and for the story. And we talked about it for hours and we bonded just over the situation, obviously, but also just the show and just our own personal lives. I feel like I have met some really amazing people, and these people will be friends for a long time to come. And I don't know if that would have necessarily happened had the con actually gone on as planned. But if anything, I'm glad that I was able to meet some pretty remarkable people. Also, I have to give major credit to the what were to be the moderators for the convention. I'm talking about Taylor, I'm talking about Brittany, and I'm talking about Fan City Central, aka Emma, who, without getting paid, were literally trying to organize fan meetups with cast who were in New York and just trying to have fun, trying to make this as somewhat salvageable as possible for us. And they were doing this out of the kindness of their own hearts and the love they had for the show, and they were incredible. I didn't get a chance to really talk with them a lot because obviously I didn't want to interrupt what they were doing, but I did talk to Emma a little bit, and we've actually been followers of each other on our socials for a while now, so it was really nice to meet her in person. I wish I had gotten a picture with you, Emma, and I'm so sorry I didn't, but maybe in the future we can meet up again. But they did an incredible job. And also Emma's mother, who was so adorable and actually made little souvenirs for us. She had this set of these necklaces with Shadowhunter runes on them, made keychains and decal stickers and all these cute little knickknacks that she was planning to sell at the convention. But now she was obviously selling them to kind of just give us, the fans, some sort of little souvenir to take with us back to wherever we came from. So kudos to all of them for doing this and trying to make this as salvageable and as fun as possible. Also, I have to give huge, huge shout outs to the cast. This cast, and we have known as a fandom that we have an incredible cast who truly love this fandom and understands how important this show and these characters mean to us. That 5 of them that were already in New York for the convention. Need I say also that the cast and the moderators were also completely in the dark about this. They were finding out the same time as we were, which is absolutely unprofessional, but I mean, we've already talked enough about Jalmix, so let's talk about some good things, shall we? But some of the actors who were in New York for the convention were kind of just stuck there and finding out things like the rest of us, and they took time out of their own days, out of their own schedules, with no money paid. They came through for us big time. They were having these Q&As and photo ops and autograph signings in the lobby of the Marriott Marquis. They were relatively short. They were usually within an hour, and usually there would be anywhere between 20 to 50 of us, and we would just gather around, have this really impromptu Q&A, which was absolutely incredible. And they were all so nice and so sweet. For them to even do this so last minute because they understood that we had been completely manipulated and ripped off from this company, and they too had been manipulated. They wanted to make this in some way a fun experience, and for us to take something from this. So in particular, Dominic Sherwood, who did his on Thursday night, Anna Hopkins and Luke Baines, who had done theirs on Friday, and also Alan Van Sprang, who also did his own, I believe, on Saturday. And also, probably the biggest MVP, as much as I don't want to compare how they did these meet and greets with everybody and how they met with the fans, I have to give an MVP to Matthew Daddario, because he is somebody who is, feel like he's a lot more private and doesn't always want to do like the big Uber events and stuff like that, because it can be overwhelming for people, even if you are in this industry. So what he did was absolutely incredible. Literally from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, for 3 days, he walked around all over Manhattan, meeting up with fans who he was keeping track of through Twitter. Need I say, this is a man who does not like social media. He's someone who's never on social media unless he's posting just random stuff or if he's promoting a new project that he's doing. But other than that, he is very rarely on social media. So the fact that he was actually on Twitter communicating with fans and trying to meet up with them somewhere in the city, That is dedication like I have never seen before. And need I also remind that in this particular weekend, New York was really hot and pretty humid. So the fact that he was walking around and subwaying around all over Manhattan to meet people was absolutely amazing. And I'm really happy to say that I got the chance to actually meet him. It had happened on Friday. I was with one of my roommates and then also another girl that we had kind of just met with after we had actually had the meet and greet with Anna Hopkins in Central Park. So we were in Central Park. We actually took a picture also at the Shadowhunter bench, which I was also very excited to see. We had decided, let's go get some lunch. And we kind of were looking at Matt's tweets and we're trying to guess where he might end up being. So one of the people we were with, she had actually been to New York a couple of times before this. So me and my roommate were like, you know what? Take us wherever. We'll trust your opinion and we'll go to a place that you think would be good. So we ended up taking the subway. We ended up going into Chelsea at this restaurant called the Gray Dog, I believe. And luckily enough, it wasn't too busy and there was actually outdoor seating. So we thought this is awesome because if he's just walking down the street, he'll see us a lot better since we're outside. So we sat down, we had gotten our menus, and we had just ordered our drinks, or we had just gotten our drinks. I kind of forget because it's already been a couple days since this happened, obviously. And lo and behold, probably 10 to 15 minutes after we had gotten our menus or we had gotten our drinks, literally, we look down the sidewalk and someone had said, I think that's him. And lo and behold, there was a man standing pretty much diagonal from us, like literally probably like 3 yards or so away from us. And he is just standing there on his phone and his sunglasses were on and they were kind of in a weird angle on his face. So I honestly couldn't tell it was him at first. It was my roommate, I believe, who had said, I think that's actually him. And they had made eye contact. And finally, it hit with all four of us being, oh my God, that's Matthew Daddario. And also he's probably like, oh, hey, these are fans. And also I was wearing my Team Malik t-shirt at the time. So I think that's a big indicator. So he noticed us. He walked right in and he took a seat at our spare seat that was at our table. And we just sat and we talked. It was really a surreal moment to happen because we just talked about the most mundane, random things. We talked about the weather. We were talking about where we were all from. He wanted to know what we were doing in New York. He was actually the person who told me that I shouldn't have gone to the Met, the museum, on a Saturday, but I ended up going anyway, and it was fine. So Matthew, you were kind of wrong about that, but hey, you're a born and raised New Yorker, so I took your advice into effect, but I ended up going and it was fine. But yeah, we just talked about random things. And for a good 5 to 10 minutes. The other funny thing was that our waitress had come over and noticed that he was sitting at our table. And he's like, can I get you anything? And he's like, oh, no, I'm just going to be here and I'm going to be out. And she's like, oh, okay. And left. So either she didn't recognize him or she didn't know who he was. And that was just the most hilarious thing because here the three of us were, this is a man we wanted to meet, someone we've really admired his work, especially on the show. And the other person had no idea who he was or just didn't recognize him. And it was so funny. But once that little conversation had wrapped up with the three of us, he's like, okay, I gotta go because I've got to meet other people, but I want to get pictures. So he took my phone, which is currently missing a pop socket, but he took my phone because I was the first person with my phone out. And I said, okay, here, you can use my phone and there's pop sockets on there so you can have a better grip on my phone. And he took my phone and started taking selfies on my phone with all three of us, which was really, really funny. So I ended up having to send the photos to the people I was with. And then finally, because he also had a Sony camera on with him, he decided that he wanted to take a picture of just the three of us with his really nice Sony camera because he's also a photographer. He took our picture and he basically said it was nice to meet you, and off he went. I mean, truly, a once-in-a-lifetime thing to ever have happen. It was insane. And after he had left, my hand kind of started trembling for a second, kind of like that. And I'm like, holy shit, we just met Matthew Daddario at a random restaurant in Chelsea, and we just had the most random conversations. But honestly, I feel like that's the way he would have wanted it. So that was incredible. Especially since also some people didn't get a chance to meet him. I ended up meeting some other people who were from the convention, and we actually went to Coney Island on the last full day of our trip to New York, and they had not met Matt, but also they had met Luke Baines, and I had not met Luke during this whole thing, so we kind of had a bit of an exchange there. So yeah, basically after that, I had gone to see Moulin Rouge on Broadway. I went to Coney Island, like I said, on the last full day. And then it got a little rough again. There were some issues at the airport. My luggage had gotten misplaced. I didn't end up getting my luggage back until the next day at a really random location near LAX. I also am currently battling some symptoms that I was either sick while I was in New York or I had caught symptoms when I came back, but I'm currently recovering from being a little under the weather. So that's why part of this video is delayed as well. But yeah, even with all of this bullshit that happened, I don't regret taking the trip. I really, really don't. I did get a chance to meet some awesome people, both from Shadowhunters, the show, and Shadowhunters, the fandom. And that is something that I don't know if I would ever get the chance to have happen had this incident not happen. So, I don't know. It's the idea of trying to make lemons into lemonade. You gotta take what you get and make the most of it. But I was talking to my parents numerous times throughout my trip, and they were basically telling me, you're in New York City. Take advantage of the city around you. Go see things, have fun, try to make the most out of this because you're already there. So I think I ended up doing that. Like I said, I've met amazing, amazing people. I was able to meet cast from the show, even though that was probably the last thing I would have expected given the circumstances of the con. I was able to go see Broadway. I went to see museums. I went to Coney Island, which I never really thought I would ever go to Coney Island. So that was a lot of fun. And even though the convention was canceled and also I was not feeling well while I was there and I'm still not fully recovered, I made the most out of it. And that's why I do not regret the trip. Do I wish I'd have gone differently? Of course I do. Do I wish that the Shadowcon would have happened? Absolutely. I had prepped for so long for this, and even though there's still a battle ahead because we are still trying to get refunds from the company, which we don't know if we are going to get. I know that we have talked about getting the New York Attorney General involved. Lawsuits possibly could happen. A lot of this is still kind of in the air. Plus, I myself have kind of taken on a role in trying to see if we want to get another convention to get on our bandwagon and see that we have been manipulated by companies and that there are really dedicated fans in this fan group and for this show. So would they have us at an already established convention? So there's a lot to come in the future for our fandom, but what I love about the Shadow fam so much is how dedicated we are to getting things done. We can get shit done. I mean, we have given the show awards through fan votes. We have constantly shown them love and appreciation through all of their current works that they are doing now away from the show. We support them 100%, and, we just come together. Like, I'm not even sure there's other fandoms that quite have our dedication within them. So, it's, I'm glad to be a part of this fandom, and I always have been ever since I've gotten into this show. I mean, I wouldn't have done Shadowhunter-themed videos if I didn't care about the show and the people that are involved with it. So, we can get things done. So the future, we don't really know, but we will make noise. We have made noise. We even actually made it on the local news in New York. So again, if I can find either the article or the video for that news coverage, I'll leave that link in the description below as well. Also, I do also want to give a shout out to a cosplay couple who were at the event, and they themselves have also done a video in regards to this disaster of a convention. I'll leave their video down below as well. There's going to be a lot of stuff down below to give you more information on what happened. So I hope this gave you all some insight on part of the reason why I have been gone from my main channel and what I have gone through from my first solo trip and my first trip to New York and all of this and the aftermath of it all. So, like I said, this is based on personal experience. I don't have a lot of like the legality and the business side. I think a lot of that is going to come more in the future, but who knows, maybe we'll get more information to come. That's just something we kind of have to wait for. But I wanted to get this video out to explain what happened, plus other things I did in New York, because like I said, it was a fun trip regardless of all the bullshit that had happened. So, but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I honestly don't know how long this video is going to be, but I said everything I needed to say, or, you know, anything else I can think of, I'll put it in edit, but I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope it gave you all some context on the situation involved. If you want to find out more, check the links in the description below. Also, check out Twitter. We are still talking about this on Twitter to this day. Just look up Shadowhunters, look up the Shadow Fam. You'll find quite a bit of stuff, I guarantee it. But that is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave any sort of comments you can think of down below in regards to the convention, to the show, or if you want certain details on my personal experience, I will gladly share them in the comments below. And also, if you want to see my future videos or videos I've already done, go ahead, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you all today, and until the next video, bye! Mwah.